Nope. I want that. Do you know I want that? Get back off the edge. And away we go.
What up? Monotone. What up? What up?
Action, action.
How we
1,
doing?
2, 3.
Ooh.
I'm gonna sit in my bathroom.
Boom.
I'm gonna talk about Young Jay.
Bing.
I don't want to have any hairspray, so I'll cut off all my hair. And I'm in the bathroom with Nicholas, and I'm aware. Werewolf. I don't like to hit the football.
Oh, what up? Go ahead.
I could've gone
Charlie Brown.
like 500
dropping
more
balls.
hours.
I know I had to pull the ball out from where you.
did.
I don't know the girl's name, but I had to pull that away. You about to punt that bitch. I should pull that motherfucker right off your foot. God damn. Hey, yo, SpaghettiOs.
All right.
We're
What
back.
is up? We
What
are
is
back.
up?
Who's back?
Who's back? You're back.
I'm back.
I got that.
It's your host of your favorite podcast in the world, called, I don't know what the name of the podcast is.
I don't know what the name of this
we'll
podcast
get there.
is.
But your hosts are Samuel Rogers
And a young Bruce Wayne.
and a young Bruce Wayne. I don't know why I go formal
Yeah.
every time. I don't
The
even like
slave
the name Samuel.
It's your slave name, that's
Yeah.
why. But
Coming at you live, your host Kuta Kente. Anyways, we don't have a
Okay.
name for the podcast.
No.
But what
Young
is the podcast
Justice.
about? It's Young Justice.
Young Justice
We're talking about
is what
Young
we're talking
Justice.
about right now.
Great show.
yeah, amazing. We're on episode 3. Welcome to Happy Harbor, Young Justice, season 1. And it's an amazing episode. It's an amazingly subtle episode. It does some really interesting things. The story is pretty straightforward. It's I think the most generic 22-minute episode of the whole season.
Yeah, for sure.
But it does some really interesting things. Where they spend their time and what they use to be the reveals are really the opposite of generic. They're really interesting.
Right. I think it's really difficult to set up a story without trying to set up a story. And in these first few episodes, you're trying to lay down the groundwork of everything. And they do such a good job of telling a good story while laying groundwork down. And I feel like this episode has the hardest time because you're introducing Mount Justice and you're introducing McGann and you're introducing kind of the dynamic that we're going to jump off of from episode to episode now. So it does have some of those like kind of generic things you were saying. But for an episode that has to deal with that hurdle of, hey, we're setting it up, it does a pretty great job.
Yeah, it does. It does a really amazing job. It's watching it this time around. This is, I think, my 3rd time from start to finish. I've seen a bunch of the episodes randomly, but like starting at episode 1 and taking it all the way to the ending. Yeah, I think it's my 3rd time around. And watching it this time, I was able to see more. I know that you always say that. You pick up more new books to see it, whatever. But this series is so heavily focused on personality and individual characteristics of these superheroes that I never realized how big of a purpose that was for the whole show. And really seeing it here really set things off. And
No, go for it. I just want to hear. Give me some examples of those highlights. This is what I would like to break down, if you can. All right? So you've seen it multiple times, and I've been interested in this since I'm also watching it for the 3rd time through now. Can you recall highlights from your first time watching or your original opinions and then some of your opinions that you feel now without spoilers for episodes afterwards?
Right.
Challenge extended.
Right. Yeah, I can. I remember the first time watching this episode, I had thought that it was stereotypical. It's going to play out like so many other shows I don't enjoy or so many other TV archetypes that are just not for me. And so I was really worried about that and also had a really selfish perspective about these characters. They mean a lot to me. I don't know why. It's the dumbest thing in the entire world.
How dare you? You better not mess them
up. You better not
up.
fuck with my... Like, I knew them. Like, you're Dick Grayson, right? In my mind. Mm-hmm. And he's a personal person. He's a personal friend of mine. So I was really, really, really selfish and really, really personal and really don't fuck with my toys. And so it was hard to win me over. I was talking shit about it all the way through to like mid-season. But I do remember seeing the episode and thinking that it was going to be a sitcom. Conclusion, 22 minutes. And I saw the setups. And there's a moment where they call themselves out on that, which I think is really important.
What part?
When we are introduced to the villain of the episode, he plays the same role as Red Tornado, android with hurricane powers. He's in a new costume. I was like, that's Red Tornado, setting them up. It's going to be the reveal that it was him the whole time.
Yeah,
not
I
a
felt
villain.
for that as well.
And then they call it out in the middle, and you're like, oh, see, I'm smart. I got it. Because you're not counting, especially if you're a kid. You're not counting 22 minutes. You're like, oh, we've been through one episode or one commercial. I know the show's about to be over, right? You don't do that till you're a little bit older. So when you're watching it, they call it out, and it's in the middle of the show, but you're just watching it, and you're like, oh, shit, okay, I'm smart. I got that piece. I saw that it was Red Tornado. And then they reveal that it's not Red Tornado, and it's actually a bigger, which is hindsight for the show, everything that they do. It has a much bigger scale to it. And so watching it this time through was really interesting because the show has nothing to do with the antagonist, the villain of the episode. It has everything to do with examining who these people are when their capes are off.
So when you first, I had a very similar impression from when I first watched the episode, that the color scheme was still taking me very off guard because it was like so bright and so colorful. And I think the other Teen Titans show that Teen Titans Go, there's like Teen Titans Go, but it was before Teen Titans Go, it was just Teen Titans, was on Cartoon Network and very anime. This is like quasi-anime. That was very anime, and it was definitely set, like, it was funnier in terms of slapstick funny, but it was darker-ish, you know what I mean, in terms of actual lighting and the theme and kind of sense that they were trying to go for. And this is a lot happier. I guess that show was not as happy. The show has like more of a happy front. And so that was still weird. Like, oh man, this is going to be some like super simple kids show that's trying to be really happy and simplistic. And it's going to have episodic starting, beginning. Red Arrow is going to train them for an episode. And then Red Tornado is going to train them for an episode. And then you're right. It's completely the opposite of that. And then like going back and watching it this time, it's like really the opposite, to the point that I feel like it was making a comment on those things on purpose. You know, it was so purposefully trying to lead you to that conclusion. And if you could catch that it was not that, then that's really cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. I think where this show takes place is another hint toward that being true, because being the third episode and being truly the beginning of their team, there are pitfalls that you are going to have to fall into, because it's what's going on in their lives. The moment of figuring out that we need to work together, the moments that we take where you have to discover that we aren't as talented as we think we are, the pitfalls that you face when you tell a character arc. Every story has to go through those. So to address it early on and be like, these are those things, you know they're going to be there, but here's how we're going to tell them, is what this show's hat is hung on. Because they're consistently doing that throughout the whole series, and then even more so right into the next season. So, but yeah, so it was really great, and it was really fun to watch. I think this episode, so one of my personal favorite pieces of this episode is the revealing of these individuals. None of them wear their super suits. None of them put on their capes. Mm-hmm. The most they do is have a piece of their item that is the most personal aspect of them. Robin keeps his utility belt. Kid Flash has his goggles. Superboy's wearing the S on his chest. Aqualad eventually rips his shirts off and shows his tattoos. And then Miss Martian shapeshifts.
I would say Miss Martian's accessory thing is the bioship. maybe
There's a few pieces, because I was going to say shape-shifting, and the bioship has shape-shifting, but when I think about it right now, wouldn't you say it's the telepath connection?
So, I don't know. She has a lot, because at the start of the episode, she's like making the cookies, and I feel like it's maybe the telekinesis, because she's like flying unconsciously. She's like, oh, the cookies are burnt, and she flies in there, which is telekinesis, and then she moves and does the whole cookie thing with her telekinesis. So maybe it's just her brain, it's the telekinesis and the telepathy.
Oh, telepathy. Is that the one you read minds? I don't know what the fucking science words are.
All right.
Not science words.
All right.
They're made up. They're cartoon words.
It's a science.
Okay.
It's a real science word.
A real science. Reading
telepathy.
The minds.
For everybody else who was confused and too scared to step up to the plate and say they were confused, telepathy is when you can read someone's mind. Okay. I have that. Okay. And then telekinesis is when you can move objects with Force. Your mind.
Luke Skywalker.
AKA the Force in a different language. Yes.
Nice. Which is interesting, actually, because the Force uses reading minds, too, now. In episode 7.
So McGann is... And she's from outer space.
She's from outer space.
She's a Jedi.
She's Yoda.
Yoda is a Martian.
Yoda's a motherfucking Martian. Why doesn't he have a shapeshift?
He's dwarf.
He's half white Martian, half green Martian.
Oh, he's got a Tyrion thing going on. Also, he was like outcast from Mars. Get out of here, you're a loser.
But he's from a high family.
No.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, he's from a high family, but they don't like him. They reject him completely.
But the other people can't reject him because he's
Yoda. I understand what you're talking about. I feel you, bro.
No, but yeah, so one of my favorite pieces of this whole series, this show specifically, this episode, Happy Harbor, is stripping away the heroism and the costumes and getting to the characters.
Absolutely, completely agree. We're talking about a whole bunch of characters who, just as people in their world, and I think that's a huge point that I didn't catch until you said it, that they're not in costume. You know, that they are like bare, showing themselves to each other and to the world, and they're brand new. They're not the heroes that they want to be yet. They're just kids, you know. That line in the episode when he's like, oh, these are just a bunch of children. Twister says that, and then Robin's like, we're not children, and it's like, objectively, you are. Like, we're starting a show, and I can't tell you that these are superheroes. I can tell you that this is a show about kids, and that's the most objective thing that we can start with, and we can build up from it. So that's super dope. Teamwork.
Bang.
So on the nose, the next one, I'm just going to say teamwork. They're bare, right?
Yeah.
And this whole show is more of a teamwork show than I even realized. Like I was saying last episode, what I love, I want to see a thing focus on it. The concept of adding McGann in, and McGann is an amazing, awesome character in and of itself. One of the reasons why I love her is that she's like super, it seems like she can't be any other way but open and vulnerable. It's like out of her control. She's just showing all of herself all the time. And she has the ability to see a lot of other people because of her telepathy. And I love how they kind of address that right away before the action and before conflict. She connects all their minds and just reads them. And then it's like, don't do that. That is terrible and an invasion of privacy. And then later on, it's accepted and realized that we're together. That's true with any friendship. That's true with any relationship. We have these boundaries of privacy. And it's like, how much are we really going to show someone else? And the gradations of what you show kind of dictate what type of relationship you have. And people get insecure, or if you don't protect someone else's privacy and vulnerability, that causes problems, and then that's how people like break up or don't want to be friends anymore. So those are huge adult major issues that they're addressing, and what McGann does at the beginning when she just connects all their minds and opens up their privacy, she sets up a level of vulnerability between the whole people right away, off jump from this episode, and from then on, they know each other. They know each other to a deeper level, even if they don't realize it yet. It allows for the blooming of true, trustworthy friendship. I know you. I can love you unconditionally. It sets that up, and they don't even know it is set up yet. They start acting that way before they can even articulate that. And so this show is an awesome teamwork show. It's an awesome representation of what, like, how true friendship starts is with those friends that you can just be super open with and you're not too worried about your privacy, you know? So I thought that was a highlight for me, especially that I didn't catch the first time I watched, and then especially as a highlight for where the show ends up going.
Absolutely. And to comment on that note, I think when you develop a team aspect and we get to watch it grow from the smallest seed into the largest seed in this universe, we know what the largest seed looks like, and that is the Justice League. So you see these characters struggle with working together and finding a level of intimacy in who they are and what they're doing. And you can see what makes the Justice League so perfect and so credible is that insight doesn't cross. What I am and who I'm and what I'm doing are the same thing. Even though there's different, everyone's got their own secret identities. Batman goes where he goes, Superman goes where they go. They can come together and work seamlessly on major, major issues, and they can fight massive villains that want to destroy the entire planet and have these extremely complex plans because they're not going through the adolescent understanding of who am I as a person, and is that okay for me to show you?
To show someone else.
We all have our secret identities that we reveal to ourselves or to other people. When the Justice League come together, their identity is their cape and cowl, and the other piece is something they show the world, that all those different sides of yourself. But they're able to go through and play with each other in a way like no one else does. And I think they show that without ever showing it. The same way you were talking about the teamwork, how when knowing where the show goes and knowing where it expands and how this team builds together, showing them do that and knowing that the Justice League is in there doing that too, I think is a pace that you can take and go real meta with this show. It expands the universe, which would lead me into my other piece that I really loved about the show was nothing's a one-off. There's no problem to solve for the episode. The villain is continuous. The stories are continuous. It's a true series. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, I completely agree. And every character that Greg Weisman and the other writers create is a person that they created. They took time and made a full person. Almost every character in this show, from small villain to big villain to hero to small hero, could go off and have their own show because they took the time, even if they don't show it, to write out a story for them, a full own arc, you know, and that gets highlighted throughout the season. One of the reasons why the show is way more complex than it is the simple show that it was talking about. So that's all great. That is all love, straight up. Great episode.
Yeah.
We didn't talk. You got to watch the episodes because we're not going to do a lot of the breakdown. No. I mean, there's a conflict and then there was resolution and there's some awesome fighting. So watch it for the awesome fighting and
animation.
Not just the therapeutic part that we do.
Oh my God.
The animation's super on top.
Oh my God.
But now that we've done all the good things, I want to talk about the things I love in the world. I want to talk about some of the things I hate in the world. I want to talk about what grinds my gears, okay? My grinds my gears, this episode, has nothing to do with Young Justice. It is on this thing that I like to call the graduate record exam. I don't even know if that's the full name. The GRE. It's a standardized test that you have to take to get into graduate school. I'm applying to graduate school, so I have to take the GRE. And it is not literally, it's one of the worst things that's ever happened to me in my entire life. Feels like that episode of Daredevil when they take the needles or the bamboo sticks and they stab him into his nails stick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You guys gotta watch that episode. Yeah. It's brutal. It's awful. I mean, just bleeding heart bad. And that's the GRE. It's a sentence to death. It doesn't really measure anything good. I'm all on that kick. I'm sorry. And I'm like yelling in the thing. So that's what grinds my gears.
That's what grinds my gears. Grinding my gears. I'm grinding my gears. What grinds my gears? I'm having a pretty good day. The episode, I do have something that grinds my gears.
I'm having a pretty good day. Nothing really grinds my gears. I'm Nick. I'm benevolent. Oh, I walk on flowers.
Barbaric. Killing beautiful flowers. You're not supposed to walk on flowers.
If you walked on flowers, that would grind my gears.
grinding my gears. Nothing. I got nothing.
Wow. Amazing.
I fucking love this show. It's a great episode.
I'm happy for you.
It was, yeah.
No, I'm happy for you. That's kudos. You want to take the GRE for me?
That actually seemed like fun. I did like you're doing like a practice exam.
It's kind of fun.
If it was an iPod game, if it was like a phone game.
If it was a phone game,
Ding,
if the fact that I
have to take it,
and the pressure of if I do good or not gets me into school, if those parts weren't connected,
you move those
it might
two.
Be okay.
It's a fun time.
True.
But yeah, so everything happens every once in a while, and what's interesting is what we bring to the table when we will go to take in or be entertained by art. Right? You brought that.
What do you mean?
So you were doing your GED. That's not it.
That's not it.
You get your GED. He's not going to grad school. He's good at his GED. That's what he is. He's trying to join the military. Let him in. He's got to get the GED first.
I got to run a mile in like 2 minutes, and I can't do it. So I made up some story about the GRE.
But so you had that day, and you were frustrated, and that was on your mind, and you brought that to the show. And just like we talked about when the first time I watched it, I brought my biases and were like, I refused from liking this episode, and that came with it. But you brought that in, and did that have effect on your show this time watching it? Did it overall enjoyment? Was it plaguing your mind? Or did you get lost in the episode?
No, I feel like I got lost in the episode. I feel like I'm a lot better at this is getting personal now, but I feel like I'm a lot better at my anger and stress management, and this is a little bit stressful, but I can detach it from the show that I watch. It has affected shows I've watched in the past. I feel like that's your grind your gears. Don't say it's not. What grinds Nick's gears is when people come to a show with their baggage and it stops them from liking the show, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. That's a good point, because I would grind my own gears. That's what I bring at the beginning. That's what I've done that in the past. I've missed out on so many moments of amazing comic book stories like this show when I first watched it, and the Batman, Greg Capullo, Scott Snyder Batman run. I read Court of Owls and Night of Owls and was like, this is stupid. First time I read it.
I mean, I feel like there's nothing else more true in the world except for like pizza should grow on trees and peanut butter jelly is really good. Scott and Greg's Batman is like amazing, and if you think that it's not, that's crazy, right?
I thought it was.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like,
right.
It's so crazy.
I said the characters look dopey. That's my comment on Greg's drawing was. Everyone looks dopey. Gosh. And then I thought the story was it just made shit up. Like nothing actually fit in. The mystery didn't go. They just kind of threw it out there in the end. A fucking idiot, right? And that was all because it was like, I know better and I bring it into it. And it's like, this show has to be what I think it is. Which in and of itself is so fucking stupid because it can't be. That's the one thing it literally cannot be.
Don't say it don't have one.
Literally cannot be. It is what it is, and it should be valued and interpreted by what it's saying, not what you think it should be saying.
Yes, absolutely. I love your passion to say what grinds your gears because you're trying to be all nice. So I don't got nothing going on. You got shit going on that pisses you off. Let it out, man. Let it out.
You got hate in your heart.
You got hate in your heart.
Let it out.
So I'm not gonna segue. Next episode. That's our next little section that we talk about. We talked about the show. We talked about what pisses us off. Now we're gonna talk about that thing that we're waiting for to watch that makes us feel really good, which is next episode. I'm not sure what next episode is.
That's what's so badass about this show.
He is so right.
So badass about this show.
I've watched this. This is my third time through, and I can never recall what necessarily is the next episode. And it's one of those things that you get to just like, I hope if you're watching this, you rewatch it because it unfolds again. Yeah, you have some knowledge and you know where it's going, but right, like the show still has some of that mystery unfolding that's really fun when you watch it for the new time.
Yeah.
It's kind of how it's going, and it's the third time. It's crazy.
It's really intelligent. When you go and you're teaching, I went to school for education. When you go and you're teaching somebody, children, anybody, a story, the first thing you do is introduce vocabulary and introduce locations to be like, now you have some context, let's read the story. And I feel like with this series specifically, that's very important. So getting a second watch is huge because you have context, you have vocabulary, and now you can see what they're doing. But yeah, what's really interesting about this episode is one of the biggest areas of critique. You can't hear air quotes.
He just put his fingers up and was like, quote unquote, critique, and it was all cool and showmanship dramatic, but it didn't work out.
It didn't work out. But was the ever expanding cliffhangers every episode? The lights talking, this is talking.
Yeah.
When it isn't that cliffhangy, but it does continue. And at the end of this one, they leave off for a story that picks up 6 episodes later. So it does give you like, we're coming back, just not necessarily chronologically the very next episode. I think I remember what it is. I don't, but I do know.
But that'll be fun to figure out. I know we have another character coming in,
Yeah.
mystery character.
Ooh.
There's another member of the team, another core member that hasn't been shown yet. So I can't remember if that's the next episode, but it'll be fun when we see what the next episode is going to be. Has this episode inspired you at all to do anything new or any ideas that could contribute to the art of entertainment?
Yeah, so it's the show for this episode, for this specific category in our podcasty, and this element of it is the show completely. I was watching The Batman last night.
Oh.
Greg Wiseman?
The Batman.
The Batman.
No, I feel bad. I can't remember the other guy's name now, but it's Vietti is his
Vietti.
last name. He's the one who got an Emmy for The Batman.
Okay, so remember the first episode, I spoke about how I wish there was an expanding universe and we saw a Batman show and we saw a da-da-da-da-da. Knowing that who works on The Batman is working on this show, if you look at it and mudge a few corners, give a few years, The Batman might be the Batman we're seeing in this show. And that Robin in that Batman might be the Robin we're seeing in this show. They both take an alternate Earths. They both mentioned that it is a separate story from all the other Batmans you know, right? This might be on the same universe, and that might be a Batman that's evolved, and now we're like 6 to 8 years in. They set up the Justice League in that show. They show you the Robin. Batgirl's there. They have the whole expansion.
I mean, I see what you're saying. That could make a lot of sense. Definitely has that same inspired by. I mean, the writer Brandon Vietti, what's his name?
Vietti.
I mean, he did do both shows. He has a certain idea of the Batman that lives in his mind and the Robin that lives in his mind, and they definitely float on both papers. So you know.
So that would be mine. Mine would be: are these the same? Are they the same universe? Are we watching the same characters later on in life with a different artistic perspective because it's from a kid's point of view?
I wonder. I'd have to go back and rewatch the Batman for
Let's
just go clues.
Yeah,
That would be really cool.
Yeah. What about you? Anything that you have been inspired by? Anything you wanted to create? Anything that took your mind to a meta place? Fucking beats on it.
Boom. I
It
at least got beats out of it. I'm tapping a little dry here in terms of a creative thing. I think maybe one thing that could be fun is one that's not necessarily fun. What the next thing that I feel like would contribute to this kind of world is I love when I loved the DC animated movies. The Frank Miller's movie Batman Year One.
Or the showcases,
those just kind of
the
snapshots.
Catwoman showcase, the Green Arrow showcase.
The showcases have been great. The Dark Knight Returns.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's way better, in my opinion, than a lot of the gradations, but then a lot of the live action movies that I've seen that are superheroes.
Yeah, except for BVS.
And I would say that I'm not gonna even touch that one. I don't even want to say the words because then the
open
podcast
those
is
doors.
gone.
Open those fucking doors.
But they could continue to expand on making these feature-length movies and making them a thing. I feel like people were really receptive, and they could take them from the shows that they're creating. Like, we could create an episodic show of Flash and all these characters, and then when, you know how DC Universe does a crossover episode or crossover Infinite Crisis, you could just make that a feature-length film, as well as other feature-length films that kind of cap off or start major storylines within the TV shows. So if Young Justice started season 3 keep bringing YJ hashtag, they could start it with a DC animated movie, and then the show could follow, or the other way around.
So that would be a great place too for bringing Young Justice back. I think an avenue. They're one of the most successful areas of their entertainment are these animated films, and improving history over show. They all lead cartoon shows, often lead to movies. SpongeBob had a movie that was released in theaters, so it's a proven strategy, I think. And if we could, getting a full season might be difficult, but if they were to get enough love and using that hashtag,
right.
keep bringing YG and enough support and buying the DVDs, they were like, we want to revisit this world.
Can we make a movie?
Can we make a movie? That would be kind of badass.
That would be really.
That'd be really cool.
And it's just a different way to tell a story, you know, like you don't have a whole about like season episodes to tell a long story, which if you think about it is crazy. A movie has 2 hours, 4 episodes.
And not cartoon movies don't get 2 hours. Imagine that. Imagine a fucking 2.5 hour cartoon movie.
Right. So it sets up, it just hits different story arcs and hits different emotions just by its nature of being a movie, which I think would be cool to just have both.
Yeah.
So that's what I have for a new idea.
Yes!
I think that's it.
it.
Hashtag keep bringing YJ.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to plug it again because we have nothing else to plug. We have no sponsors. No one gives a shit about us. So we're going to plug this again. Hashtag keep bringing YJ. We have not started, but our Twitter page is getting up before the end of the weekend. And we'll be shooting out keep bringing YG. I'm on Facebook. He's on Facebook. We're going to do it on our personal pages. You guys won't be able to get it because we're really private. And we don't want to... That's our own.
I'll do it on my Facebook, but please don't follow me on Facebook. Whatever this is. All right.
I'm not going to accept your. I'm not going to accept your.
So that can grind your gears,
yeah,
but I don't care.
But no. But seriously, keep bringing YG, buying it on YJ. Keep YG banging. What's good?
YG ain't a bad rapper.
Buying it on iTunes. Buying the comic. There's a comic that takes place in between the 5 years. Buying that,
which
bad
we
boy.
should do. We should bring on here for an episode of just reading that comic.
That'd
in
be
between.
sick as
Maybe
fuck. But yeah. I mean, the more we do, the more you can give to the show, the more likely it'll come back.
So yeah, hashtag keep bringing YJ, and we'll keep bringing YJ to you. Classic.
All
right, see you later.
Thanks, peace, love. Ya bish.